his left side because he knows his right side is strong, but he's not doing the right thing with it. He's pushing away. So what are you guys going to do for a pusher? You're going to have him sit by the wall if you can. If you don't have a wall, you could put a ball there and tell him to keep his shoulder and hips against the ball. What else are you going to do? A mirror. Yeah, a mirror's a great idea. Show him what he looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take his hand away. Because he's going to push with that hand, and he's probably going to push with his foot, too. I might even take the foot out of there. Because anything you can weight bear on, they're going to push away. The other thing you can try and do, and this isn't always safe, if he doesn't need a lot of assistance, I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to say, hit your shoulder against my shoulder, bring your hip to my hip. Because if you come over here and he feels you, he's going to push harder into you. You want to try to avoid too much sensory input onto that side. Now, if he's a max assist and he's going to fall, then you can't do that. But a lot of times when you go over there to support them, they push even harder. And it's a very, very tough thing to treat. Now, for pusher syndrome in standing, same principle. You would stand them, their good side against the wall. Yeah, because if he were standing, he's going to push onto his weak side, knee's going to buckle, and he's going to go down. For some reason, they just weight bear onto their weak side. Usually, after a stroke, someone realizes that that side is weak, and they totally avoid it. And you're trying to encourage weight bearing through the involved side to get it functional again. Again, you have to use it to get function back. So for pusher syndrome, you're going to use a wall, put a ball or a pillow, have them reaching, try and getting them weight bearing back onto their good side.
I went to a continuing ed course a while back, and the instructor said you can't push a pusher. It was like a little catchphrase.
So true.
So like if you're on my hemi side, you're just like trying to push me over the other way. Yeah, I'm just gonna. It's like a wrestling match. I'm gonna be pushing harder into you. So you got to try to take the ability to push away. Like I'm kind of extended on this side. I'm like a real rigid on that side. So try to maybe get this arm. Try to get these limbs in a position of flexion. You know, so that they can't push. Maybe use something like a bedside table. I love bedside tables. And like, you know, if I push on that, it's just going to roll away because it's on wheels. Like there's not something anchored and firm that I can push against. You know, get this foot up maybe on a stool. If I get this knee up kind of high, you know, it might do something to my pelvis. But, you know, if I can keep this leg flexed, it's harder to push with it. I'm going to be more, the patient's going to be more effective pushing if this leg is locked out. So try to get these limbs in a position of flexion, and then they're not pushing.
Exactly. Yeah. There was one case in your lab where the person had a lot of extensor tone. So do you mind simulating that? So
Sitting.
Let's do bed mobility first, because as you come up, you're going to be. So if he's got a lot of extensor tone, what could you first of all do before you even mobilize it? If you know he's got a lot of tone. Yeah, try to get him out of it, loosen him up, do some range. So come up under the joints, like come up under the elbow, under the knee, and just kind of lift up, jiggle it a little bit, try to just relax him. Really, the faster you go, the more the tone's going to kick in. So you want to go nice and slow, try and pull up. Rotation can break up tone, so you want to just kind of go slow, jiggle him, do a little range before you start to move. Try to get him relaxed. If he's nervous, his tone's going to kick in even more. That type of patient, I might flex both knees because you're trying to get him into flexion. He's doing a good job. Okay, and I'm going to have you roll. And I'm going to keep him, I'm going to watch to keep him in flexion, okay? And I'm going to have you bring your legs down. And I'm watching his knees. Now, as he comes up, you want to keep his trunk flexed. And that was really good guarding. You should have both hands. Because if he's got a lot of tone, his trunk is going to extend back as he's coming up. If you keep his head a little flexed and his trunk flexed, that's going to help to break up the tone in his lowers. Because everything will follow the same extensor tone pattern usually. So you need to try and break it up by flexing the head, flexing, looking at the trunk. Once he's sitting, then I'm going to kind of be in front of him. I might even kind of sit on the stool, and I'm going to be watching those knees. And I'm going to be looking at his trunk. As soon as he starts to go back, everything is going to kick into the tone, and he can slide down off the mat.
That's really like where the hips and the pelvis is really a key point of control.
Yeah.
If if that patient starts to get even just a little bit extended through the pelvis and the lower trunk and hips, then depending on how severe it is, they're just going to be like a rigid board, and they're just going to fall right back on the mat, and their feet will be out here. So really, like, trying to put them in flexion as much as possible, and trying to keep them there. If you can get their feet, like I'm up a little bit too high again. Like if you can get my feet, weight bearing, and then if I can be positioned here, a position of weight bearing helps to break some of that tone a little bit. So now the idea is to keep me here, because if you lose my trunk, then it's kind of like you have to start over.
Exactly, yeah. And you might request that you get a second person behind once he's sitting to keep him flexed forward. Now you don't want to promote kyphosis, but you do have to watch their
Can you
head.
show me one more time how
Sure.
like from where you went from, you don't have to show
Supine?
supine with his
Yeah.
knees flexed and how you got him up without keeping his legs up.
So I'm going to watch his knees. I'm going to have him roll. Okay, and then bring him down. And I'm going to kind of watch his knees. And as he comes up, I might even put one of my knees here and kind of block. And then I'm going to come over to his shoulders and try and flex him forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like the key spot is as they start to kind of come up from
He's gonna
here,
wanna go
they're
back.
going to be like way back, and the feet are going to be out, and it's like, and then the therapist could be at like a disadvantage, because it's really kind of it could be awkward to try to control that person. Sometimes that's a nice person. That's a person that's nice to try to get them to really initiate with their head and upper trunk, and then that way, and almost, well, lower trunk too, I guess, like abdominals, if they can get their head down, kind of really get into a tucked position, and really try to initiate coming up and keeping their head forward, always forward with the head, and the shoulders will follow, and then you can try to keep them from like going way back like this.
Yeah.
So you want his pelvis posterior, more posterior, so to keep him flexed, rather than promoting the anterior though.
Yeah, you're not going to be as worried about the anterior tilt in these patients. These patients are, if they have that much extensor tone, they're usually a little more low functioning anyway. So you're not going to be as worried about what the pelvis is doing. Yes?
What would you do to ambulate them? Like,
Somebody with a lot of extensor tone, I would probably have a second person, and I would probably be on a stool facilitating knee flexion and hip flexion if I can. So if it's on both sides, then you might have to do body weight support and have a therapist on each side. If it's only on one side, then I would have the aide working the trunk up high, and then I would be down. I would be down here, and I'm going to try and kind of tap to see if we get some hip flexion. I'm going to force him into a little knee flexion.
Okay, so this person wants to like be real rigid and kind of do like some,
Yeah.
a lot of hip hiking. It's maybe circumducting, right? So.
And I would just push here, and I might, if I can, I might even grab their ankle to promote flexion in the ankle. So, and I'm going to push into the knee here, and then try to give them a little ankle. And I'm going to push. It would depend really on which joint is most involved. A lot of times it's the knee, because remember when you have that extensor tone, which is common in the low strength, a lot of times it's a lot of knee extension. So you're trying to just get behind the knee, push a little bit, and try and get some flexion.
That's exactly what I felt. Like I felt like she was trying to, like she was right on my hamstrings and tendons, and was trying to kind of give a little cue to the hamstrings to try to just break a little bit and allow my knee to bend so that I can get into a swing.
Yes?
For this patient, for intervention and exercise-wise, like pre-game bending and stuff, would be a chin tuck be acceptable then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you could encourage that to get some flexion going.
Would you use a walker while you were trying to facilitate it?
It depends. Chances are, if he has a really involved side, he might not be able to grip the walker. So then you're getting into a platform walker. In the early stages for gait training, I usually don't use an assisted device because I want to be in there and have my hands on the patient. That being said, it really depends on how much help you have. Where I worked, we had a really great aide, and I could trust him to be up on the trunk and keeping the person up. Or a lot of times we would use a hemi rail. In a lot of clinics, there's a rail on the wall, and the patient can hold on to that and support themselves in the beginning. Sometimes adding an assistive device early on, it can get in the way, and it can also create, the patient learns that motor program or that motor plan for using the assistive device, and you might end up not using that particular one. And they had all this training and they learned to walk a certain way with a device, and you might not end up with the device. So I don't typically start with the device. If you do, when you're out in your clinical affiliations, it's not wrong to. You're going to see that done because it can be for safety important. I don't know.
I kind of like assistive devices. I like to walk people with the bedside table too, because they have bilateral upper support, upper extremity support. You don't have to worry about it. Weak grip because they just rest their hand on the table.
The
It's
tables
great
are
for
good.
weight bearing through the arm, and there's no size on it to get in your way. And you can be on the little scooter. Sometimes it takes somebody else to kind of be on the other side of the table walking backwards, and they're kind of driving the table, sort of like controlling the table, and you're supposed to kind of coordinate sequence when the table moves, when the patient steps. There's a little bit to it. It's not like they're going to go home with a bedside table, but you got to start somewhere. I like assistive devices. If the patient feels like that they're not safe, if they feel scared in some kind of way, it's going to be hard. Again, you're going to be like butting heads a little bit. Sometimes it's nice to get them to try to feel like they're protected,
Safe,
like there's
that's true.
something, there's a safety net there somehow. And a lot of times they feel like the assistive devices can work that way for you.
That's a good point. And if the patient's nervous, it's going to make their tone worse. And it can make their shuffling worse, their freezing worse. So that is a good point. Just give consideration to what assistive device you choose. How about for weight shifting somebody? If you're going to try and facilitate gait, did you guys all practice that a couple weeks ago? I think one of the patient examples, they don't have good dorsiflexion, so you can always use the rack to pull up the foot to help with clearance. Once they're up, so what I'm going to do, let's say Rob is weak on the left, so we got to do something about his arm because his arm's flaccid, it's hanging. I might just hold his arm like this, but it depends on how much I need to do with my other arm. If he needs a lot of help and I need two hands on him, then I'm going to put his arm in the sling and just be done with it. But it depends. Or if he's got a pocket, he can stick it in the pocket. You just don't want it dangling. If you do put him in a sling, you may want to make sure you don't leave the sling on for too long because, again, it's going to force that internal rotation. He's going to lose external rotation and be at risk of impinging. So you do something with the arm. So we'll just say that we have him in a sling. Probably if he's got weak dorsiflexors, I'm going to wrap those just to make it a little bit easier for myself. A couple other things you could do to just set things up, make it a little easier. You could put a lift in his right shoe, in his good side. That's going to raise the good side up a little bit and just help him clear the involved side. Now, you guys are probably thinking, well, that's compensatory. It is, but it's also facilitating the left side to move a little bit. If the left side's really weak and it's getting stuck on the ground, lifting the right side up a little bit will just help to get the left leg through. The other thing that will help is me weight shifting him. So I'm going to shift Rob to the right, and then I might have to actually kind of help him a little bit. And then if his knee's unstable, I'm going to actually block his knee with my knee and then pull him through. I'm going to shift him to the right. I might have to help that leg come through, bring my other leg around the block, and then shift, kick him through, block, shift him over, kick him through, and block. It's a lot of work. This is for somebody who's like mod to max assist. As he can move his leg better on his own, obviously I'm going to back off. If he can initiate it, I'm going to back off a little bit. If you just want to get someone up and get them going, you can kind of shift them, bring the leg through, block it on the other side. You could also put a knee immobilizer on that side. But if you do that, how's he going to transfer? You're going to really change a lot of things with that knee immobilizer on. Remember how much flexion you need, 25, I think you need up to 40 degrees of knee flexion in swing phase. You've got him in a knee immobilizer, that's going to change everything. So I might put a knee immobilizer on last resort if somebody's maxed and I just want to get them kind of moving and getting used to it. Or if I'm really focusing on the hips and I'm not